Today's game is a very special game. It's one of those games that will either give you fond, happy memories, or it will start to give you a nervous tick. I am, of course, talking about For Honor. I don't care, there's two of you.
I'm dying. Help me.
Shall unleash my fury upon you like the crashing of 1,000 waves! Begone, vile man! Begone from
baby,
me!
let's fucking go! And then his teammate come along. Excellent. I think he's teabagging? Is that teabagging? I think that's teabagging.
I don't care!
A few moments later.
Yeah! Get fucked, kids! Get fucked! Get fucked! Get fucked! Released back in 2017, it was Ubisoft's attempt at a competitive melee PvP game. Initially, it had a good reception and received lots of praise, but over time, its player numbers started to drop and cracks began to show. I originally played this game when it was first launched, and I kind of forgot about it. But 6 years later, and to my surprise, I saw it pop up on Game Pass, so I thought, why not? How bad can it be? But before we get started, just a friendly reminder, if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe. It costs nothing and you can always unsub later. So let's kick it off by talking about the gameplay. Let's be real here, there is a story mode, but I guarantee you no player has spent more than 5 minutes actually playing it. No one is buying For Honor for a story, you're here for PvP. Which is a shame because it looks nice, might actually be enjoyable. Sort of like how Fortnite has a story mode which no one has ever played, even though it's 10 times better than actual Battle Royale. Controversial opinion, I know, but that's what this channel is all about. PvP is the main focus of this game, and a lot of effort went in to make sure that there was some sort of balance to the combat. Combat is based on remembering combos, blocks, feints, dodges. You even gain a buff in the form of revenge when outnumbered to make sure that it's not just a case of being dogpiled by 4 players at once.
It's so dumb.
Oh, it's so dumb, it's brilliant.
No! It's just dumb!
But let's be honest, if you lose in a 4v1, you should probably write an apology letter to your mum for being such a waste of fucking sperm. Luckily for me, no apology letter needs to be written today. There are also a range of different abilities to choose from which will unlock as the battle progresses, and they can be somewhat effective. And if you think abilities can be quite cancerous, wait until you find out about environmental kills.
If you love me, let me go!
There are a wide variety of different characters to choose from, and each one has its own unique playstyle. In theory, there should be a counter to each style of combat. However, some characters seem to be more popular than others. You can level up your character and unlock cosmetics as well as armor upgrades which buff certain attributes. Players participate in a variety of 4v4 game modes, and for the more sweaty players, they can do 1v1 duels. Sadly though, none of my stuff transferred from Xbox, so I had to start again on PC. But to my surprise, the matchmaking was actually quite good. It didn't throw me in with too many sweaty players, and I had the chance to proper get to grips with the game. I would also highly recommend to any new players to spend at least 5 minutes in the tutorial. Trust me, it will go a long way. So let's recap. The gameplay is fun, it has a good leveling system, there are even cosmetics. So why isn't this game more popular? Well, it's simple. It has a lot of problems. Although it's super fun, it suffers from something which can be quite catastrophic.
Oh, get out of here!
It is highly competitive, and with this comes a huge issue. It makes the game not very noob friendly, and the skill gap between a new player and someone who's been playing it for the last 6 years is just relentless. There has been efforts to try and boost the population. In the past, they did make it free on Steam for a brief period, which actually saw a large spike in players. However, these players just didn't stick around. And I honestly wholeheartedly believe it's because new players get scared off quite easily. For myself, jumping back into the game, because I had an idea of how everything worked, it wasn't so bad. However, as I started to level up and face better players, the sweat levels started to rise, and I could feel myself getting into that, I don't know how to describe it, teenage angst, I hate the world, fuck you, how dare you kill me, and then go around your fucking house and shit in your fucking letterbox. You know what I mean? That kind of feeling? Just me? The funny thing is, as I started to play the game more and more, I started to remember some of the other issues, which were players being in a 4 stack facing against 4 randoms, and the sweat levels there were just, yeah, it got a bit too much. You know, this was like controller breaking territory. Also, the player base is quite toxic, and I'm saying this from experience because I used to be quite toxic. I have been on both sides of hate mail, sending and receiving, and sometimes you do it just to troll the other player even though you've already beaten them. It's just simply, I don't know, this game causes you to be toxic. I can't explain it. It's like a disease. And even in my short experience jumping back into the game, I even got this guy hating on me, and I don't even know why. Maybe it's something I did, maybe it's the character I chose. I don't know. I'm just glad that voice comms doesn't seem to be used by any player in this game.
Push it through my letterbox again, and it'll be last year you fucking thing, I'm waiting!
They also start to add new fights to the mix, which were behind a paywall, and I still have trauma from when they added in the Centurion. He was just super OP, and yeah, that was the main reason I quit actually. If I remember rightly, the Centurion was like behind a paywall at the very start, and basically, if you bought him, you're gonna play him. But everyone wanted the competitive edge, so everyone fucking bought him. So any match you were in, there's like 4 Centurions, and it was just the fucking worst thing in the world. Honestly, it's like, oh, that was my pandemic. That was my, no, I can't say that. But all in all, as I said earlier, the gameplay is just really good. They've tidied it up a lot more since I last played. It's not as janky, the performance is better, but yeah, it's just not very noob friendly, and you have to go past that milestone of getting shat on so much before you start to enjoy it. And I don't think people want to go through that pain and suffering for a game that is 6 years old. And from what I've seen by looking around the community, the other big issue is simply the meta. There's been reworks to the combat which have made certain characters more OP than others. And given how super competitive this community is, I can only begin to imagine what a clusterfuck the more sweaty end of the scale looks like. The good thing about For Honor is that it still has somewhat of a healthy population. Yes, it could be better, but at the same time, it's doing quite well, and the fact that it has crossplay means it will continue to do well. I think an issue that For Honor suffers from is that it suffers a lack of coverage. There's not enough big names trying to prop it up. If you think back in the day, people like Cypher PK actually used to main this game, and now they don't even touch it. It's kind of sad, because I really do feel like this game, if it had more attention to it, then maybe, just maybe, the devs would do a lot more to try and improve like the balance in the game, make the gameplay a lot more polished, and make the matchmaking 10 times better than what it actually is. I think currently the main focus for the devs is the Game Pass. I mean, that's how they're basically making their revenue right now. There are some rumors of a For Honor 2, but nothing really set in stone. Not to shit on Ubisoft too much, but I think that's the biggest problem with For Honor. If it's developed by some other company, maybe even a smaller studio, there probably would have been a lot more improvements to it. But Ubisoft tend to release stuff and forget about it, and then come back to it every now and then to try and boost some revenue. With projects like Skull and Bones and Star Wars in the mix, I just don't see For Honor 2 being that much of a priority for Ubisoft, sadly. I'm just going to be perfectly straight up and honest, I really enjoyed playing For Honor again, but the problem that I had was that it didn't take me too long to start to remember all the issues that I had with this title. And I said on the stream, and I'll say it again, I can really enjoy these games when I'm winning, but the minute I start losing, it turns me into a moody prick. It can ruin my whole day, and it's so dumb that this game has that effect on me. And it's games like FIFA and COD would used to do the same to me. Like, if you play FIFA, you know how infuriating it could be when you start losing, especially when you start losing to bullshit. And this game is very similar in that way. And you just have to ask yourself, is it worth the stress? Or do you want to like carry on chasing that dopamine hit of winning all the time? Because you will eventually come to a point where you do start losing, and it's not going to feel good. Gaming should be about feeling good. And For Honor, it's a strange one. But I will say the satisfaction I get from doing like 1vx's or just winning a 1v1, honestly, huge fucking dopamine hit. So good. Like, yeah, makes me want to play the game more. Which, I don't know. Is that a good thing? It's like crack, right? I'm sure crack feels good when you do it for the first time, but it's probably going to ruin your life. For Honor is crack, okay? If you want to try it, go fucking try it. But just be warned of the side effects. And on that bombshell, I'm going to end the video there. As per usual, if you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe. Maybe get this video to 69 likes and I'll try some crack. And a big thank you to my patrons. I'll leave a couple of videos on the screen right now which you might enjoy, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye for now.